going to tell you my story now," said the old man. "Please listen carefully. This deer you see with me is my wife. We don't have children of our own, so I adopted the son of a favorite slave and decided to make him my heir. However, my wife didn't like the slave or the child, but she didn't tell me until it was too late. When my adopted son was about 10 years old, I had to go on a journey. Before I left, I asked my wife to take care of both the mother and the child while I was away for a year. During my absence, she learned magic to carry out her evil plan. When she learned enough, she took my son to a distant place and turned him into a calf. Then she gave him to my steward and told him to take care of a calf she had bought. She also turned the slave into a cow and sent her to my steward. When I returned, I asked about the slave and the child. "Your slave is dead," she said, "and I haven't seen your son for 2 months. I don't know where he is." I was sad about the slave's death, but I hoped to find my son soon. 8 months passed, and there was still no sign of him. Then the festival of Bairam came. To celebrate, I asked my steward to bring me a very fat cow for sacrifice. He did, but the cow he brought was my unfortunate slave. I tied her up, but just as I was about to kill her, she started to cry and low sadly. I saw tears in her eyes, which surprised me. Feeling sorry for her, I told the steward to take her away and bring another. My wife was there and mocked my compassion, but her cruelty didn't matter. "What are you doing?" she shouted. "Kill this cow. It's the best one we have for sacrifice." To please her, I tried again, but the cow's cries and tears made me unable to do it. "Take her away," I told the steward, "and kill her, as I can't." The steward killed her, but when he skinned her, we found she was nothing but bones, even though she looked fat. I was annoyed.
I told the steward, "Keep her for yourself. If you find a fat calf, bring that instead." Soon he brought a very fat calf, which I didn't know was my son. It struggled to break free and come to me. It lay at my feet, as if begging me not to take its life. "Go," I told the steward, "take back this calf, care for it, and bring me another one."
But when my wife heard this, she objected, saying, "Don't sacrifice any calf but this one." "No," I replied firmly, despite her protests. I had another calf killed, and the first one was led away. The next day, the steward asked to speak to me in private. "I have news you'll want to hear," he said. "My daughter knows magic. When I was bringing back the calf you refused to sacrifice, she smiled and then cried. I asked her why. "Father," she said, "this calf is our master's son. I'm happy to see him alive, but I cry for his mother, who was killed yesterday. These changes were done by our master's wife, who hated the mother and son." At these words, continued the old man, imagine my surprise. I went with the steward to talk to his daughter. First, I went to see my son in the stable, and he responded to my affection. Then, when the steward's daughter came, I asked if she could change my son back to his true form. "Yes, I can," she replied, "but I have 2 conditions. First, you must give him to me as my husband. Second, you must allow me to punish the woman who turned him into a calf."
"I agree to the first condition wholeheartedly," I said, "and I will provide a generous dowry. As for the second condition, I ask you to spare her life." "I will spare her life," she replied, "but I will punish her as she punished your son." Then she took some water and said some words I didn't understand. When she threw the water over him, he immediately turned back into a young man. "My son, my dear son," I cried, kissing him with joy. "This kind young woman saved you from a terrible spell. I hope you'll marry her out of gratitude." He agreed happily. But before they married, the young woman turned my wife into a deer. I preferred this form for her so she could still be part of our family without causing discomfort. Since then, my son became a widower and started traveling. Now I'm searching for him, and I'm taking my wife with me because I don't want to leave her with anyone else. Isn't this an amazing story? "It certainly is," said the genie. "Because of it, I'll give you a lighter punishment." When the first old man finished his story, the second one, who had the 2 black dogs, said to the genius, "Now I'll tell you my story, which I'm sure you'll find even more astonishing. But will you also give me a lighter punishment like you did for the first man?" Yes, replied the genie, as long as your story is better than the first one. With that agreement, the second old man began his tale.
Get ready to be captivated by the next episode of our series, The Story of the Second Old Man and the Two Dogs Prepare to embark on an unforgettable journey filled with intrigue, adventure, and timeless wisdom from the Arabian Nights.
Subscribe to our channel today and unlock the gateway to a world filled with captivating stories, mesmerizing adventures, and unforgettable characters. From daring voyages across the desert sands to encounters with powerful genies and cunning thieves, each tale promises to whisk you away on an extraordinary adventure. Subscribe today and let the adventure begin.